I, 34M, never thought I'd be one of those guys posting here. You always think that won't happen to me. We're solid. We've been through too much together. But here I am. My wife, Emily, 32F, and I have been married for 7 years, together for 10. We met in college, clicked instantly, and built a pretty great life, or so I thought. She works in marketing, and I'm in IT. We don't have kids yet, and for the most part, our life was steady. A couple of vacations every year, dinner with friends on weekends, normal stuff, or what I thought was normal. Over the past 6 months, things started to shift. Nothing huge at first, just small things I chalked up to stress or work. She started going out more for coffee or just to clear her head. At first, I encouraged it. She's always been a bit anxious, and time alone seemed to help her decompress. She started dressing up more too. I noticed new clothes in the closet, a few new perfume bottles. When I mentioned it, she'd roll her eyes and say things like, God, I'm allowed to look good for myself, aren't I? I didn't push it. I trusted her. We were married. We had a history. I figured I was just being paranoid. Then came the late night texts. She'd laugh at her phone, quickly flip it over when I glanced in her direction. When I asked who she was texting, she said, just Laura from work. She's going through a breakup and needs to vent a lot. I believed her. That was my mistake. About a month after the weird behavior started, Emily came home one evening, flushed and weirdly giddy. I remember asking her how her day was, and she replied, oh, just a boring client meeting and then coffee with a friend. I asked who the friend was. She hesitated, just for a second, but long enough. Then she said, Laura again. She's having a tough time with her ex. You know how it is. Here's the thing. I do know Laura. She's loud, brash, and loves to overshare. I'd met her several times, and she always greeted me with a wink and a laugh. But when I ran into Laura at a grocery store later that week, she mentioned she'd been in Paris for a week visiting family. That was the first time I truly paused and thought, something's not right here. When I brought it up to Emily that night, she exploded. I mean, full volume, drama level screaming. She accused me of spying on her, of being obsessed, of trying to control her. She said things like, wow, so I can't even hang out with friends without being interrogated? God, I can't breathe in this marriage anymore. I'm not cheating on you, you're just a paranoid freak. And stupidly, I backed off. I apologized. I told myself I was just being overly suspicious. Maybe she'd made a mistake and meant someone else from work. Maybe Laura came back early. I wanted to believe her. I needed to believe her. But the truth was already bubbling under the surface. I just didn't know it yet. I never wanted to be that husband, the one who sneaks around checking his wife's phone like some insecure teenager. But after the Laura lie and her constant defensiveness, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was really wrong. One night, she fell asleep on the couch after a couple glasses of wine. Her phone buzzed. Twice. I glanced over. A name popped up I didn't recognize. Yeah, a coffee cup emoji. My heart dropped into my stomach. I waited a minute. She was out cold. I picked up the phone, hands shaking, and opened her messages. Her phone wasn't password protected. Big mistake on her part. And there it was. Thinking about last time. Couldn't stop all week. Same time tomorrow? Emily, God, you're dangerous, but I can't stop either. I need it again. Same place. I kept scrolling. They'd been messaging for 2 months. Flirty texts, late night chats, references to a hotel room, inside jokes, and worse, photos. Not nudes, but her in that blue dress I loved, biting her lip and clearly posing for him. I felt like I'd been punched in the throat. My ears rang. I couldn't breathe. This wasn't just flirting. This wasn't a one-time mistake. This was deliberate, repeated, intimate. She had a whole second world I wasn't part of. I didn't wake her. I didn't yell. I didn't even cry yet. I just sat there for hours staring at the wall, holding her phone, knowing that everything I thought I knew had been a lie. The next morning, I couldn't pretend anymore. I waited until she was awake and calm. She was making coffee in the kitchen, humming like nothing had happened, like she wasn't cheating on me with some guy named Chris. My stomach churned. I sat down at the table and said, who's Chris? She froze, just for a second. Then she turned around slowly and gave me that fake little laugh she uses when she's caught off guard. What? What are you talking about? I stared her dead in the eye. The one you've been texting, the one you met at the coffee shop, the one you've been sleeping with. Her expression changed instantly. Panic, then Rage. Oh my God, did you go through my phone? Are you freaking serious? That's such a violation. You have trust issues, not me. Classic deflection. I didn't bite. You're cheating on me, Emily. She scoffed. You don't know what you saw. You're twisting things. Chris is just a friend, a flirty friend. That's all. We never even slept together, Jesus. Lie. I read the messages. I saw the hotel confirmations, the same place messages. She wasn't even good at covering it up. When I called her out on the details, his texts, her replies, the blue dress, the late night meetups, she started screaming. You're insane. You're trying to trap me. You're just bored and looking for drama because your own life is pathetic. And then the tears came. Not real ones, weaponized ones. Please, you're going to throw everything away over a few messages? I made a mistake, okay? It didn't mean anything. That's when I realized something dark and deep. She wasn't sorry she cheated. She was sorry she got caught. After the screaming, crying, and gaslighting, I didn't say much. I just walked away. My mind was buzzing, but I felt numb. I went upstairs, sat on the edge of our bed for a few minutes, then quietly got up and started packing a bag. Emily followed me, of course, still on her hysteria roller coaster. What are you doing? Are you seriously leaving? This is your problem, not mine. You're walking away from a marriage because of one stupid thing. You always do this. You run instead of talking like an adult. I didn't even look at her. I packed jeans, a few shirts, chargers, and my laptop. She kept yelling, pacing, crying, switching between begging and blaming like it was a script she'd rehearsed. When she realized I was actually leaving, she tried one more card. You're going to regret this. No one's ever going to love you like I do. You think you'll find someone better? Good luck. I turned to her and said calmly, someone who doesn't cheat on me? Yeah, I think my odds are decent. She slapped me. Not hard, but hard enough that I blinked. We stared at each other for a moment in silence. Then she screamed, "Go then!" and stormed off. I walked out, got in the car, drove to my brother's house across town. I didn't cry. Not yet. I just felt detached, like I was watching it all happen from far away. That was the moment I knew our marriage was over. I wasn't going to save her, and I didn't want to. I'd only been at my brother Mark's place for a few hours. He didn't even ask questions, just gave me a beer, set me up in the guest room, and said, whatever it is, we'll figure it out. That meant more than I can say. I was finally starting to breathe again until the doorbell rang around 10 p.m. Mark answered. I stayed in the hallway listening. It was Emily. She was sobbing, dramatic as always. Please, I need to talk to him. Just 5 minutes. I know I screwed up, but I love him. He can't just leave me like this. Mark told her to leave. She pushed past him anyway. Walked straight up to me in the hall with mascara running down her face, holding her phone like a prop in a soap opera. I deleted Chris's number. See? It's over. Please come home. I'll go to therapy. I'll do whatever you want. I didn't say anything. Then she snapped again, like a switch flipping. Suddenly it was, you're really going to throw this away? For what? To sleep on your brother's couch like a loser? I bet you wanted me to cheat. You've been checked out for months. You never touch me anymore. I was lonely. There it was, the classic blame shift. She wanted to turn herself into the victim, the cheated wife who had no choice. Mark stepped in. You need to go now. She screamed at him, called him a meddling piece of garbage. He didn't flinch. Finally, she stormed out, slammed the door hard enough to rattle the windows. Mark turned to me and said, you need a lawyer. Fast. A few days after Emily's meltdown at my brother's house, I decided to do what I should have done weeks ago. Dig deeper. I wasn't looking to punish her. I just needed clarity. I wanted to know exactly who I'd been sharing a bed with and who she'd been cheating with. Remember Chris? Well, turns out Chris wasn't just some random barista she met at a coffee shop. A friend of mine works in cybersecurity. He's the quiet, brilliant type who knows how to find anything if you give him a name and a number. I gave him Chris's number from her phone. A day later, he messaged me back. You're not going to like this. That guy's name is Christopher Lang. He's married, lives across town, owns a little design agency. He's been fired twice for conduct issues with female coworkers. He's married. I felt sick. So not only was my wife a liar and a cheater, she was hooking up with someone who was also destroying another family. Then came the next blow. My friend found Chris's Instagram private, but pulled the profile pic and recent connections. Emily had liked a post he made last month, something stupid and vague like, "Sometimes the forbidden is the sweetest." She commented with a fire emoji. Fire emoji, like a damn teenager. I confronted her via text. "So Chris is married? Does his wife know you've been fing her husband at the Sheraton?" That's none of your business anymore. No denial, no apology, just that cold, dismissive response. That was the moment the last bit of hope died. After learning that Chris was married, I couldn't shake the feeling that his wife deserved to know. I went back and forth about it. I'm not the kind of guy who wants to blow up someone's life out of spite, but then again, mine had already been nuked, courtesy of her husband and my wife. I asked my friend, the cybersecurity guy, if he could get a contact. A day later, he sent me Lena's number and said, "She deserves the truth, man. Your call." So I called. She answered on the third ring. Her voice was calm, soft. I introduced myself and said, "I think our spouses have been having an affair." Long pause. Then she said, "Is your wife Emily?" My blood froze. She already knew. She told me this wasn't the first time Chris had done this, but this time she'd had suspicions for months. Hotel receipts, late meetings, him showering the second he walked in the door. She'd even found a pair of unfamiliar earrings in his car. She just didn't know who the other woman was until now. We ended up talking for almost an hour. She was composed but deeply hurt. I told her everything, dates, texts, what I saw. She cried at one point, but thanked me for telling her. She said, "They deserve each other. They're both liars." And then she said something that stuck with me. "You didn't ruin my life. They did. You just turned the lights on." We agreed to stay in touch, mostly for legal reasons in case anything blew up later. She was planning to separate. I told her I was doing the same. Funny how two strangers got blindsided by the same disaster and somehow ended up on the same side of it. After I spoke to Chris's wife, Lena, it was like some invisible wall shattered. Suddenly, Emily knew I was serious. I wasn't bluffing. I wasn't just mad. I was done. And nothing terrifies a manipulator more than losing control. That's when the love bombing started. She texted me one morning, "Can we talk? Please. I miss you so much. I don't know who I am without you." Then came the photos of our vacations, memes we used to share, a voice message where she actually cried and whispered, "I'm sorry, I'm broken, but I still love you." I ignored it all for 2 days. Then she showed up at my work with flowers. She waited in the parking lot like some twisted Hallmark villain. I walked out, and there she was, all dolled up, fake tears in her eyes. She shoved the bouquet into my hands and said, "Let's go to dinner. Just one. I'll explain everything." I was too stunned to respond. She took my silence as a yes. Over dinner, she did the usual, blamed me for being emotionally distant, claimed Chris meant nothing and that he used her, said she was depressed, anxious, unfulfilled, said she'd only slept with him 3 times, as if that made it better. And my personal favorite, "If you had just noticed me more, I wouldn't have needed someone else." I asked, "So cheating was my fault?" She smiled sadly and said, "No, but you didn't stop it either." I stood up, left the restaurant, and texted her later. "You can lie to yourself all you want, but stop trying to rewrite our history. You cheated. You lied. And now you're alone. That's on you." She didn't respond. The moment the papers were ready, I felt lighter. Not happy, just relieved. Like I'd been holding my breath underwater and finally broke the surface. My lawyer drafted everything. I didn't ask for anything crazy, just my fair share. I wanted out, not revenge. When Emily got served, I expected rage. I expected a fight. What I got was apocalyptic. She showed up at my brother's house again. I had since moved into a short-term rental. She banged on the door until the neighbors came out, screaming, crying, mascara everywhere like she was auditioning for a bad reality show. She held up the divorce papers and screamed, "Ugh, are you seriously doing this? Over one mistake? You're seriously going to destroy everything because I had a weak moment?" Then she threw the folder at the front door. My brother came outside and calmly told her to leave. Again, she started in on him next. "This is all your fault. You've always hated me. You poisoned him against me." He laughed in her face, which only made things worse. She stormed off screaming, "You'll regret this. I hope you rot alone." Um, Next day, she texted me like none of it had happened. "Hey, I think we both overreacted. Want to get coffee? The same word she used when she was screwing Chris behind my back. The irony wasn't lost on me. I replied with one sentence: "We're done. Don't contact me again unless it's through a lawyer." She hasn't messaged me since. After the storm came silence, and silence, surprisingly, was the hardest part. No more screaming, no more drama, no more fake apologies or sudden tantrums, just quiet. It was strange at first. I'd gotten so used to walking on eggshells around Emily that my body didn't know how to relax. I'd hear my phone buzz and flinch, expecting some emotional bomb, but it would just be a work message, or my brother, or nothing. I started focusing on me for the first time in years. I got back into running, signed up for a gym near my rental, started cooking again. I even took a short solo trip out of state, something Emily always said was a waste of money. It felt weird traveling alone, but also liberating. No compromise, no arguments over where to eat or what to do, just me and the open road. I also went to therapy. At first, I didn't want to. I thought I could handle the fallout on my own. But talking to someone who didn't judge, who wasn't biased, who just listened, it was like draining poison I didn't even know was still inside me. I learned a few hard truths. I had ignored red flags because I wanted to believe love was enough. I had allowed myself to be manipulated because I feared confrontation. I had wrapped my identity in a relationship that was already cracked beyond repair. And despite it all, I wasn't broken. I wasn't unlovable. I wasn't weak. I was free. About a month after the divorce papers were served, I got a message from someone I hadn't spoken to since that long, painful phone call. Lena, Chris's wife. I was surprised to see her name pop up, but I opened the message immediately. "Hey, I just wanted to let you know I left him." She'd finally done it. She told me that after our call, she started gathering proof: hotel receipts, text backups, even a GPS tracker app Chris forgot she still had access to. She confronted him once she had it all. And just like Emily, he lied until the evidence crushed him. But Lena wasn't like me. She didn't scream. She didn't beg. She just packed her things, took their daughter, and left. She wrote, "He tried to spin it like it was just sex. Said he still loved me, but love doesn't lie like that. Love doesn't humiliate you." I told her I was proud of her. I meant it. She had way more at stake than I did. Kids, shared finances, years of being gaslit by a narcissist. She left anyway. And then, unexpectedly, she added, "Thank you. You gave me the push I needed. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't told me the truth." I didn't know what to say to that. I just stared at my screen for a while, letting it sink in, because as awful as this entire ordeal was, being cheated on, lied to, manipulated, it made me realize something. Sometimes when one world burns down, someone else gets the courage to escape theirs. Just when I thought the worst was behind me, divorce in motion, healing in progress, therapy helping, Emily struck one last time. I got a call from my lawyer on a random Tuesday afternoon. "We need to talk. Your wife filed a motion for spousal support." I actually laughed at first. I thought it was a joke. But nope. Emily was now trying to bleed money out of the marriage she already blew to pieces. Mind you, we have no kids. She earns almost as much as I do. She was the one who cheated, repeatedly, and she still had the audacity to claim she sacrificed her career for the marriage. What career? She'd taken 2 vacations with Chris in the last few months, one of which she labeled a marketing retreat. My lawyer was sharp, though. He'd seen this type of manipulation before. We compiled all the messages, all the timelines. Even Lena wrote a statement confirming the affair. Emily's little support stunt didn't last long. The judge threw it out fast. No sympathy, no award, not even a second glance. What did she do after that? She left me a voicemail, screaming, crying, saying I was cruel, that I never loved her, and my cold heart ruined everything. I deleted it without listening to the whole thing. I felt nothing, just a strange, calm clarity. She was no longer my problem. Not legally, not emotionally, not in any way. She played her final card, and it failed, just like the lies, the fake tears, and the gaslighting. I had finally won the only game I never asked to play. It was a quiet Friday morning when the email came through. Subject line: "Final decree of divorce, case closed." No fanfare, no courtroom drama, just a PDF attachment and a single line from my lawyer: "It's done. Congrats on closing this chapter." I stared at that message for a long time. I didn't cry, I didn't cheer. I just sat in my tiny rented apartment and let the silence wrap around me like a blanket. 7 years of marriage, 10 years of history, torn apart by coffee dates, secret texts, hotel rooms, and betrayal. I called my brother first. He said, "You free tonight? Beer's on me." Then I texted Lena a quick update. She sent back a single emoji. I even thought about texting Emily, not to gloat, but maybe to wish her well or say something poetic about closure. I didn't, because the truth is, there was nothing left to say. Later that evening, I poured a drink, stepped out onto the small balcony, and let the breeze hit my face. For the first time in years, I didn't feel trapped. I didn't feel like I was second guessing every move, every word, every moment. I was free. Not healed. Not yet, but free. And that was enough for now. It's been 3 months since the divorce was finalized. 3 months of silence. No messages from Emily. No drunken voicemails. No fake apologies. And you know what? I don't miss her. Not even a little. What I do miss is the version of me I used to be, before the lies, before the gaslighting, before the constant feeling that something was wrong, but being too afraid to name it. But slowly, I'm finding that guy again. I've reconnected with old friends I drifted away from because Emily didn't like them. I started therapy full time. Turns out, when you unload years of emotional manipulation, you can finally breathe right again. I even started dating, not seriously yet, but enough to remember what it's like to have a conversation that doesn't feel like a landmine field. Here's what I've learned, and maybe it'll help someone else. If your gut is screaming, don't ignore it. You're not paranoid, you're perceptive. Cheating isn't a mistake. A mistake is forgetting a birthday. Cheating is a choice, one they make over and over. No one is worth losing yourself for. If someone constantly makes you feel small, insecure, or crazy, that's not love. That's control. I spent so long trying to be a good husband that I forgot I deserved a good partner, too. Emily was chaos dressed in charm, a fire that warmed you just enough before it burned you to ash. And for a long time, I thought that was normal. Now, I crave peace, honesty, boring, beautiful consistency. And I know I'll find it because I've already done the hardest part. I walked away from someone who would have gladly watched me drown if it meant she stayed dry. Thanks for reading. Thanks for letting me tell my story. I'm not broken. I'm not broken. I'm just getting started.